Alright, I'm back with another Destiny video. This is one that I've been kind of meaning to record for a while, and there's no real kind of good time to do it, but I figured I'd do it during some downtime before tomorrow's resets, and there's not too much else to talk about, and I don't know if I can talk about trials anymore. I think I've said all I can say about the matchmaking experiments, and we just have to see how Bungie reacts to it and what some of the numbers turn out to be. Today I wanted to talk about something that Bungie is purposefully avoiding talking about, which is the fact that come the Witch Queen, we are still going to be vaulting content. That is confirmed, but we do not know what is being vaulted. Even though they kind of ended the practice of weapon sunsetting and armor sunsetting, it is definitely the case that we are still kind of getting content cut out of the game. Not at the same level as what happened with Beyond Light, where we had 4 or 5 zones cut completely, like probably 60-70% of all the physical content in the game. I don't think we're going to do anything at that level again, and yet it does seem like we will probably get into a situation where it's sort of one new zone in, one new zone out. And speaking of in, there's Evie. So in this case, we know what we're getting. We're getting Savathun's Throne World, which may or may not have used to event Old Chicago, but regardless, that is going to be a large new zone. We don't know exactly what size it is. I would guess it is at least as big as Europa, which is pretty big. And then the question is what is getting sunset instead? To me, I think there are only 2 main options here. It is either going to be the EDZ or it is going to be Forsaken content, which would be both the Dreaming City and Tangled Shore. And if you combine those together, they're probably about as big as the EDZ. I will start with the Forsaken content. There are a few reasons that people think that is being sunset, because Bungie has said in the past, like, someday we're going to sunset Forsaken content, and they use it as an example of like kind of how storytelling gets all weird, because they don't like new players kind of coming in where they're playing a storyline where Ultron is a villain, and yet simultaneously he is a part of the current season storyline as like a different person and a good guy. And I think they like not having confusing overlap like that, so that is a reason it could be out. Another reason is that many people believe that the kind of end result of this season is going to be lifting the curse on the Dreaming City. In theory, this could be a reason to shut down the area if like we cleanse it of all the taken infestation, and then there's just no more enemies in the area. So it would be a reason to kind of leave that zone behind in a way that doesn't necessarily need to destroy it or put it in a darkness cloud or whatever we've done with the other ones. And then there's some lore stuff about how Spider is nervous that Mara is back and how he treated Uldren, and he's looking to be smuggled out of the Tangled Shore by the Drifter. So there are some like story indicators that this could be happening, in addition to kind of past Bungie comments. I don't think this is happening, personally. This is not my pick for what I believe will be sunset or vaulted. A few pieces of evidence to this. I think they need to make Forsaken and Forsaken content free before they vault it. It does not really sit well with me that they would kind of cut that before they have made that free for New Light players. I think that we may be heading toward a point where at the Witch Queen, Forsaken is made free. There have been some rumors about that. I don't know what the source of that is. It might be a Paceman thing. I don't know. But that there's rumors that could happen. And then fundamentally, I think what we saw this season really cemented in my mind that we are probably not going to lose these destinations. I don't think that you finally, after all this time, give Scorn their own champions and then kill off pretty much the entire Scorn race 6 months from now. Scorn only appear in the Tangled Shore and Dreaming City and Presage, which is linked to the Tangled Shore. And now they finally have their own champions, and they're able to, we finally got a Nightfall of that one everyone hates, but they finally got Scorn champions in there. So I just don't think you would do that amount of work to, after 3 years to kind of just throw that away. And that to me is kind of a clear indicator that it is sticking around. To me, the much, much more obvious case of something that could be sunset is the EDZ. The EDZ is kind of the core area of Destiny 2. It's the starting area. It's one of the biggest zones, and yet at this point it is the zone that is completely devoid of purpose besides a very scarce handful of things. Like we explored there a little bit more, and there were some things set there for like the Hawkmoon quest, things like that. And yet we know that is going away after the season is over. All that seasonal content will be removed. And what has already been removed from the EDZ is all of the Red War content. So all of the story missions there, all of the adventures, and pretty much there is almost nothing left in the EDZ except a couple of strikes. Whereas also in the Tangled Shore Dreaming City, there are more strikes, there is a dungeon, and there is a raid. Whereas the EDZ does not have a dungeon or a raid, it just has these kind of special missions like Harbinger that is going away, and it has a couple strikes, including Lake of Shadows, which is everyone's favorite because you can speedrun it, and yet this does seem like a more likely candidate to go. I just don't really think it serves much of a purpose in the current state of the game. We already have another Earth Zone in the form of the Cosmodrome now. We have, I don't know if it's like a forest area per se, but Savathun's new zone is kind of swampy and overgrown. So that might kind of double up there. And it's hard for me to kind of envision a way that the EDZ stays relevant. What I do not really have is a story reason for why the EDZ would go away. All of the other Sunset content had very specific links to the darkness locking us out of it. I doubt they would kind of pull that same trick twice, and I don't think you can really do that with this just one zone on Earth as opposed to like the whole Earth, because well, I think we would lose the EDZ. I don't think we would lose the Cosmodrome, so you'd still have an Earth zone. I maybe as the season goes on, I can think of other reasons why they would choose to story sunset the EDZ, but we'll see. I guess the other option is Nessus, because it's another original D2 zone, and yet for some reason I don't think they would pick that over the EDZ. I think it has more strikes, and then the EDZ, I'm also expecting when the EDZ goes away that the EAZ will as well, and so for next year's Solstice we will have a new activity, because we have had 3 years of the EAZ, and Festival of the Lost has proven that when your kind of base area goes away, your bonus content area goes away. So like they vaulted Mercury, so there's no more Infinite Forest to be used as a haunted forest. So now we have Haunted Lost Sectors. So if the EDZ goes away, that would mean the EAZ goes away, and it's time for a new Solstice activity, which after 3 years, I think we are due for anyway. I don't know if I need to go around through like every destination. I know like the moon isn't the most relevant place on Earth, or the Cosmodrome, generally speaking, is not either. And yet I don't think that they're just going to like skip over original D2 stuff that they're going to take out before, you know, it is attached, you know, the moon still is attached to a paid expansion. And I don't see them doing that. And they just added the Cosmodrome back in. And even if it is not that useful, I see that sticking around. Obviously, we're about to get a dungeon in the Cosmodrome with the Loot Cave dungeon from the anniversary event. So it stands to reason that that is going to be sticking around also. I still don't like sunsetting anything, vaulting anything. I understand that they need to do this according to them from a technical perspective, and yet it remains frustrating to kind of play a game that keeps losing stuff when it gains stuff. Because keep in mind, we are already going to be losing all of the seasonal content from the past year. So like it's been good that that's been sticking around, and you know those activities are there, but that is all going to be gone. All those bonus missions, I assume Presage is gone. Because that is technically seasonal content, I think. And I think dungeons stay, but I think missions like that will go. So cutting that entire zone, like I would, you know, even if it's not serving a purpose, I'd love to have it stick around just to not even lose those strikes. I would prefer not to lose any more strikes from the playlist, which we already lost like 7 last time, and we still have not made that up yet. This does not mean that EDZ-based Crucible or Gambit maps are going away. That was not true of the other vaulted areas. We still have those maps in play. They did take a bunch of maps out, but that was not related to sunsetting. They just kind of picked and chose which ones they wanted to come out. So that is my pick. I think the EDZ is going away. I do not think that the Tangled Shore and Dreaming City are, even if there are kind of story reasons why that could happen and hints that it could. I just don't see them doing that over the EDZ, and because they just spent all this time doing Scorn Champions and Scorn Nightfalls and things like that I believe will carry on into the future. So we'll see what happens. I don't know when they're going to officially announce this. We still have, 5 more months or something till the season gets here, or till Witch Queen gets here. So we don't know when they'll actually start talking about this, but my guess is it'll still be a while, and maybe we'll just revisit this in the future. But anyway, thanks for watching. Evie is being a log, and says goodbye too. So take it easy, guys, and I will see you later.